Okay, do we want to start with roll call? Jane, why don't you, I think it's easier if you call the roll and everybody just says here, so because we don't really know.
Yeah, I gotta get sorry. My list makes it easier. Julie Donham.
Here.
Mary Morgan.
Here.
Paul Ash.
Here.
Kate Rosenbarger.
Here.
Jackie Enna. We'll come back to Jackie. I'll call Alex, who is not here. Scott Wright, not here. Tracy is not here. And I will call Karen St. John, who is here. Jackie. Okay, I guess I can't call. Oh, there he is.
I have to go clean the glasses.
Okay, we gotcha. And then Tracy, I believe, joined. Did I see her?
Yes, it looks like she's in the process of joining.
We can just wait a second, then we'll have kind of a, let's call staff. So Jane Cooper Smith, staff.
Marnina Patrick, staff.
Sean Starwood, staff.
Kevin Curran, staff.
Larry Allen, legal staff.
And then Tracy Gates. Okay. Julie, is that, can we move on?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Did we get Tracy on here?
I didn't hear, but we can.
Okay.
Tracy, will you pipe up when you're officially able to hear us? I'm sharing my screen now, although that's not what I wanted to share.
And Jane and Julie, this is Karen. I was a couple minutes late. I apologize, but I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Ugh. There we go. So Julie, do you want to?
Yep, I can start. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on our virtual meeting. I'd like to first start out with Karen. Thank you very much for taking over for me last month. I appreciate that very much. And I know everyone was in very able hands with you at the helm. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
The minutes came out in the in Jane's report. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at those?
I had a question about those.
Okay.
There were 2 sets of minutes for the September 9th meeting, and I didn't read through them all. Are they different, or is it just a duplicate?
No, that's weird. I'm not seeing 2 sets in my packet.
I had it show up, the one that I saw. It was inserted right before the Buea Workforce Initiative grant. Anyway, if they're the same.
Okay, sorry. So Julie, maybe we could only address the first set of minutes.
Okay, the first.
Yeah, there, sorry, correct, Mary, there it is.
So the set of minutes that is up on the screen now, or were there differences, Jane, or?
No, they're the same.
Okay, all right. So I guess if they were the same, has everyone had an opportunity to read them, and were there changes or corrections to those minutes? Okay, if not, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Move to approve the September 9th, 2020 minutes.
Thanks, Mary. A second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Karen. All in favor?
We have to do roll call.
Right.
Right, Larry? Okay, so I'll call Julie Donham.
Yes.
Mary Morgan.
Yes.
Paul Ash.
Yes.
Kate Rosenbarger.
Yes.
Jackie Enna.
Yes.
Tracy Gates. She's having trouble, technical difficulties. Okay, Karen St. John.
Yes.
I think that's it for board members present.
Jane, I've joined.
Oh, Alex Crowley.
Yes.
Okay.
And Jane, do we have enough? We still have enough, right?
Oh yeah, we're
Okay.
our board is stacked right now. So
Yeah, no, that's a good, we don't have that as
Exciting.
anymore. That's good.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you very much. And Jane, I will turn it over to you.
So for financials, I'm actually going to go to this file. Kevin, do you want to walk us through? This is the updated file. Kevin, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I apologize. A transaction that I thought I had updated and I had not. It was a $5,000 payment to Shalom Center. So that is the only change to the financials from what was originally sent. So just going through the balance sheet, not a major change. We actually had very little activity in the month of September. So cash balances have all been reconciled. And I am committed still, the budget is officially essentially done. So now I can kind of shift gears. Jeff is out this week, so I'll get with him before our next meeting, but should be able to work through the receivables and the payables. No activity in terms of notes receivable this month. Again, accounts payable is the same issue. If we just want to focus on the income statement, essentially
Jane,
we
could
had.
you share that with us? Can you?
Yeah, here we go. Is this what we want? Is this what you want to see, or do we have a? Sorry.
I have you a PDF. I mean, I can share my screen if that's easier.
Just look at this screen and tell me if it's what you want to see. This is the P&L on the income side.
Jane, all I see is the agenda, actually.
Yeah, that's all I see. I just see.
Oh, really?
I see the
Okay,
minutes.
sorry.
I'm just seeing the minutes, actually.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Here we are. Do you need me to scroll back through to the first page, or is this okay? Are you seeing the financials now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
see the
seeing.
income statement.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so for the income statement, the only activity so far this month, we had, I had mentioned the $5,000 payment to Shalom Center, and then we had $243.38 of interest income. So not a whole lot of activity this month.
So the Shalom is in here under miscellaneous. This is updated since I sent the packet out. So I'm not sure why it wasn't reflected when in the initial P&L, but yeah.
That was my mistake.
Yeah, well, no problem. But we just want to point out what the miscellaneous is and say that they've utilized those funds, and I think they're about to launch their rebrand. So, any questions on the income side?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you've gone over this before, just the percentage change is pretty significant. Can you just go explain what the 249%?
Yeah, so the main change, I guess, was special projects. We had $1 million sent out last year. We have not done anything similar this year. And that was for CDFI friendly Bloomington, I believe.
Right.
So that's, I mean, that's the biggest impact year over year.
Okay, thank you.
And Jane, I understood you to say that pretty much all of our EZID income is in.
Yes. Yeah. And then we've also reallocated, if you all remember, we had that strange negative balance under dues and subscriptions. And we did receive confirmation from AIEZ that those were the 1% fees, and that they remitted those to the Buea for use. They do not need to be passed back through to the member organizations.
Right, so we reclassified that as zone membership fees based on that information.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Kevin, you did say that we'll get those receivables and payables straightened out for the next meeting. We've been asking about that for a while.
Yeah, and I don't have the excuse of budget activities. So yes, I will sort that out.
Okay.
Not to be, just to follow up on that, this is Karen. So Kevin, you think it'll be by the November meeting?
Yeah, and what I had mentioned before was for October results. So it'll be the November meeting.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. And then I may have to, okay, can you see, are you still looking at financials? I may have to
No.
switch back. Okay. All right. Now are you looking at the agenda?
Yes.
Well, were you before I moved it? Oh, for Pete's sake. Technical difficulties. Sorry, guys. I don't understand what's happening. Bear with me just a moment. I'm not sure what the issue is. Okay, what do you see now? Minutes?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's a blank page.
All right, give me just a. I don't know why it's challenging in this moment, but okay, how about this?
Now we're seeing minutes.
Okay, great. So we're moving on to, we're sort of in a funny order in our director's report. Okay, Sean, would you like to jump in and talk to us about the BUEA and BAC arts grants?
Yes. Yep. Sorry, y'all. My internet at home is not always the most conclusive, so I always have to turn off my video. So it's nice to see you all again. So we are in our second wave of the BUEA BAC grant cycle. Mary Morgan has kindly stepped up to represent the BUEA in that process. So we'll have a panel of some members of the public, as well as BUEA board members and BAC members reviewing. We received 24 applications this go around for fall programming, specifically fall and winter programming. As I think you all know, when we approved this funding for this kind of round of grants in April, we weren't sure how long this kind of shelter in home. As we enter stage 5, venues are still kind of under strict control locally here, and basically arts and cultural organizations have essentially had to pivot to online only. So we're funding a lot of the program is designed to support that, those types of initiatives. So a lot of groups are collaborating, using venues that are closed to do recordings that are then posted online. So there's a lot of, my hope is that a lot of this funding, this round of funding, which we're loosely locking in around 40,000 to distribute for this round, will be redistributed out in the community in a lot of different ways. So that's kind of where we're at. So the goal, just in terms of timeline, we're going to get the application review started this. We'll present kind of a package at the next board meeting for approval. And then we will also be doing that again in December to try to get out some additional funding again for Q1 of 2021. As like I said, as you all know, we haven't had any CARES federal money come in again. So arts and culture groups are really kind of holding their breath. And so for us to be supporting programming it's really important for the BUEA to be doing, and the city as well. So it's been pretty impressive to see how resilient our arts community has been in terms of the programming that they've been doing, or how they've kind of changed their business model to continue to support themselves, support artists, and offer arts and cultural experiences in our community.
So I pulled up my little commitment spreadsheet. So this is just to say that we increased our arts support to $80,000 this year. So Sean has already sent 40,000 out into the world. And then in December, we'll do the remaining 40 or a portion of that.
So we actually approved 100. So what my understanding is we'll roughly release 40 at the next board meeting. And then we'll release the remaining funds that we have, which I think will probably be in another $40,000 range for Q1 of 21 programming.
Okay. Sorry, I'll correct this.
Yeah. Because in April, it was 112 that was approved. And we also, to be clear too, we also reserved funding for venues specifically this round. We will do that again, but we didn't get the applications that I thought we would in terms of who is legally and kind of defined as a venue. I've been reaching out to those folks about why they didn't apply or what the concern was. So we're going to try to revamp that going into the next round of funding so that they know that there's money on the table specifically for them. I was a little disappointed in that, frankly.
Yeah.
So Sean, what is that funding for venues? What is that specifically?
It's a small amount. It's to support programs, right? So to pay musicians, those kinds of things. It has to be programming based. It's not operational.
Okay.
So it's to kind of, like I said, it's that rippling out factor of, either hiring artists or using the venue as a recording space for an online program. We've seen Cardinal Stage. They've done a variety of radio plays, which has been really interesting. I just got wind that Jewish Theater of Bloomington will be doing a Zoom play, right? So we're trying to encourage activity in those spaces. I think a lot of venues, even though we are moving to stage 5, like venues like the Back Door still don't feel safe having people in their space. So, being able to be utilized for a small in-person, physically distanced program that then is recorded and then promoted online is a way to kind of support those venues through these challenging times. So that's kind of that's how we see the support going out and the kind of funding happening.
Okay, thank
you.
I
have a question.
Yeah.
Sean, do you anticipate the BUEA will be approached for funding for the Waldron at some point?
That is a great question. That has not really come up in conversations. I know that we're kind of waiting for the city council to approve. The city itself, our department, has put a request in for funding for the Waldron in the short term to get us through potentially the first quarter or the first couple quarters of 21. But no, that has not been entertained at this moment. But it is something to consider. We're still trying to make that a public process. No decisions have been made about the future of that building. So that will obviously, I believe that there is going to be a task force announced soon around that, and that will kind of inform the direction that we go. But it will be a very public process.
All right, thank you.
Sean, am I right to remember that the BUEA did have a facade grant? So there has, Mary, just so you know, there has been some BUEA involvement, but it wasn't sort of as direct facility involvement as much as just a traditional kind of facade improvement involvement.
When it was still an Ivy Tech property, right?
And that happened this summer. That it was tuck pointing that was done and approved, and I believe that work has been completed on the eastern and south facades that face Walnut and 4th Street.
Thank you, Mary, for agreeing to help Sean. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. And we'll be in touch this week with the details. So
Sounds good.
Okay, jump back up here to, is that all right, Julie?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the Business Economic Enhancement Scholarship Program, which was also an increased budget line. This year, we usually do $6,000 in funding for business economic enhancement scholarships. We increased that to $25,000 as part of COVID response in order to help businesses with pivots, if that's what they need, or training. I guess I can go back verbatim. I didn't write it down, but the allowable expenses in the past for the scholarship program are education, training, membership association dues, conference attendance. And we had quite a few that fall under that category. Are you all seeing my spreadsheet here of the applicants? But then you'll notice I sorted on the use. We have quite a few who have requested funds for advertising. And so I think it's up to the board how you would like to handle that. Yeah, Julie, do you want to guide that discussion any?
Yeah, and Jane, why don't you talk a little bit advertising? I mean, you and I have had this discussion, but the board hasn't heard it. Advertising for what?
So you can see the list of companies here. All but one of the advertising expenses. Well, Shalom's the only one that doesn't really fit neatly into a traditional advertising category. They wanted to promote their rebrand, so I have some questions about that. But for the other businesses, they wanted to use their grants for, WFIU spots, ads in the HT, ads on, what is it? Who's Your Country, 105. So there are like local outlets for the most part. And then I think SPA, theirs was split between some staff training and then some Facebook ads. So that was the only one that really wasn't a local application of funds. But, it's how businesses communicate with their, their public. So does that address the question?
Yeah. So basically, Jane brought this to me and we talked about it and decided we should talk about this as a board, because to me, it doesn't really meet the definition of our business enhancement scholarship category. Now, obviously, we all know we're in a very different time, and possibly this is something that we want to potentially look at funding in a different way. But I guess I would like some input from the board. What are your thoughts on this?
This is Karen. I don't see advertising in my mind ever marrying with scholarship as a definition. So I'm going to struggle with feeling that is something I would support. However, I do support if there are ways for us to enhance businesses, but not through a scholarship effort that involves advertising.
Anybody else? That was kind of my thought too, Karen.
I would just say I feel the same way.
Okay. So I guess the thought is, so Jane, what we had $1,200 and we had 6 of them. Is that what we had? But again, we would open up a can of worms if we do this, because there's potentially other people to do that. We have a couple of different options. We have the option to ask them to just revise their application, which may be our best bet at this time. And if there is enough people looking for this type of advertising, I don't know, maybe it's something that we want to talk about at a future meeting at some point in time.
Mhm.
What's everyone's thought on that? To me, it just didn't meet the business scholarship to me. That was where I kind of fell myself.
Just to clarify, this information is not in the packet, or is it?
This spreadsheet is not in the packet.
I really can't see paying for somebody to advertise. They need to do their own advertising expenses.
Okay.
I guess I would like to have a discussion in a future meeting. Because I'm just not familiar with the program as a relatively new board member, and
Yeah.
think about it a little.
I guess I didn't include it. I didn't include these specifics because I didn't feel like it mattered which businesses were applying for what, but I can send you what there is about the program. What's funny is that we don't have documentation for this program. I haven't been able to find when it was started, and the description, the parameters are based on the application materials. So Larry, I don't know if you have any additional insight about that.
No, I actually found the same thing. We didn't have any agreements for this. I think the way it looks like it has been done in the past was just a straight reimbursement. There was no MOUs or anything like that signed with the businesses.
So we have an MOU that's ready to go, and we'll handle these as, we have, I guess, 10 or 11 that we can go ahead and move forward with.
Right.
So that's great. We have an MOU for that. And then I don't know if you guys want to noodle this or.
I guess my thought right now, and I will, obviously the board has to agree on it, but my thought right now is they either reapply for something that fits our parameters, or we just don't do it right now.
I would support that too. And I would add that it would be good to go ahead and get documentation for the Business Economic Enhancement Scholarship Program and initiate that process so we have something on paper. And similarly, to do that with all the other different ways that we fund that aren't otherwise documented, and then that can be circulated to the board. So we actually have a framework that all fits within the mission of the BUEA, and then we can make probably more informed decisions about that. But on the surface of this, I think many of us have stated, scholarships and advertising don't fit, and that doesn't seem to be something we need an explanation on. But I think moving forward, that would be good to have for all of those.
It also probably will clarify it for Jane when she gets something that's a little bit out of the box. So
yeah, I totally agree. I'm just going back to the packet. This falls under the category. There's a page listing BUEA funding commitments 2020. And is this under the Zone Business Scholarship?
Yeah.
That lists 31,000?
Yes.
So I was just trying to sync that up with the 21.5 that I saw on the spreadsheet. So the
21.5 it's what people have applied for to date.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And so we have, the way we structured the COVID response, we had 6,000 that is our normal budget. That would be restricted to 2020. And then the 25,000, the board said could be spent during 2020 or 2021. So people could continue to, if we don't spend the entire additional funding set, we could still allocate it next year for individuals.
So Jane, do you want us to have a vote on the top ones on your sheet and to move forward with those?
Larry, do you have we haven't voted on
these before?
Usually what happens when someone just meets the criteria of a scholarship, then it's first come, first served, and we don't have board.
So my thought is anybody that is above that advertising line, I think we're all in agreement that those are able to move forward because they look like dues or a retraining or something like that.
Mhm.
I think we
Okay.
would all be in agreement with that. Is that everybody else too? Nod heads.
I would maybe urge, to Karin's point, this might be a good thing to vote on and start voting on going forward, just so that there's a tidy record in the minutes kept of like how we're giving these out, in addition to the MOUs that we'll obviously draft for these.
Okay.
So I would
Larry,
go ahead
would
and
you
vote
like
on it, just so that we have
Okay.
just to keep it nice and orderly for whoever's in the future trying to unravel the mysteries of the BUE.
The mysteries of the BUEA.
Yeah, maybe it'll be less mysterious.
So Jane, if you want to put your, if I can have a motion for a motion to fund the Business Economic Enhancement Scholarships down to Alicia Head, Global Gifts, or you can make your motion however you want, I guess. But that's kind of what we're talking about. It's on your screen now.
So moved.
Thanks, Jackie. Second.
Alex seconds.
Thanks, Alex. All in favor? Jane, you want to call?
Yep. Julie Donna,
Yes.
Mary Morgan,
Yes.
Paul Ash,
Yes.
Kate Rosenbarger,
Yes.
Jackie Yenna,
Yes.
Alex Crowley,
Yes.
Tracy Gates. Were you able to get on?
I am.
You're
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
Great. Karin
Thanks.
St. John.
Yes.
And I think that's it. Okay, great.
All right, great, thank you. And then Jane, will you work on just a definition of that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got that on my list for the next meeting. So,
All right,
Hey, Julie, may I ask a question?
sure.
So, we do have these these are extraordinary times, and we do have these businesses that have put up their hand and said, we need some help with advertising funding. And I know that we want to, under normal circumstances, be deliberate, and even under extraordinary circumstances, be deliberate. What I'm wondering is whether or not we should be trying to meet the need. We are obviously all acutely aware of the status of businesses, especially as we go into the winter here. And I'm wondering if we want to take a look at that advertising group and fund it.
So Alex, are they people that we funded in other ways under some of our loans, either through the city or through us? And would that have been covered in those areas? I mean, that was a question I asked Jane too.
I'm just looking at the list. 2 are rapid response fund borrowers, but I don't know that I don't think they're on the BUEA side. I think they're food and beverage side.
And I think the Shalom Community Center, the recent payment to them was to help them on their rebranding, so that conceivably could be a similar funding project, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But that was for a very specific purpose.
But
I mean, I
that's
guess
too, though, is my understanding, right? Jane, it was some for rebranding, correct?
The Shalom,
Yeah,
the new application, or the 5,000 that we funded?
the new application here. Yeah, I thought you
They
said.
wanted to use the $1,200 to promote their organization, to use it for actually purchasing advertising to promote their new brand. So it's very related.
Yeah. So Alex, I was just I'm not opposed to us looking at that at a future meeting, but I'm wondering if there's other avenues that they should be pursuing for those funds.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I think I'm just really reacting to the reality on the street here, and the reality on the street's pretty bleak, and it's going to get bleaker before it gets better. So I that's why I wanted to just raise the question of, timing is not irrelevant, and so if it's maybe at the next meeting, I just want to make sure we don't sit on this too long as a decision. It may be that we decide against it, but so we don't leave people hanging when they really need as much help as possible.
Right.
Julie, and Alex, I would be interested in reviewing a proposal from staff of how the BUEA can help these businesses on the ground with advertising, but without a proposal and an attached budget of what that would be that's tied to the reality of our financials, I find it really difficult as a board to like approve anything like that prior to receiving that information, because I support it too, but not in a vacuum, of course.
Well,
Yeah.
I agree with that, Karen, definitely. And I think that if we open this up to advertising, we're also opening it up. It could be a larger can of worms. So we need to know exactly what we're willing to do. So, because I assume if we start funding for advertising in these businesses, there's potentially other businesses that would like those or not see that as an option, but would be people that would want to use it or apply for it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so maybe Jane, for the next meeting, if we want to try to move quickly, we can try to put together that proposal and see if we can keep at least the discussion moving quickly, even if the outcome is something we decide not to do. Yeah.
Speaking of quickly, we have a couple more things to discuss before we get to dig into the MCCSC proposal. So I wonder, Julie.
Yep. So I think that we've got through that. So let's move on.
The quick update on the Rapid Response Fund, I included the loan list. It hasn't changed since our last meeting, but we did correct where some of the loans were listed. And we made the correction in our, not just on the list, we made it in our accounting. So these are the correct totals. We've funded out of the BUEA $294,000, and we've received a $50,000 payment back. So we have, sorry about that weird, I don't know what that was. We have $105,830 left in our Rapid Response Loan Fund. We hadn't had activity for a long time, and then funded 4 loans this week out of the food and beverage side. So I think we may see some more action as the winter approaches. And just reminding you all, I guess, that we tied the longevity of the BUEA program to the lifespan of the food and beverage program. And as the governor has extended his executive orders, the ability to use the food and beverage funds in this way has also been extended. So the program is alive. I think we'll see a little more activity. And yeah, that's that in a nutshell. Is that okay, Julie? Anything else on that? And then in the director's report, I had included the Bloomington Cooperative Living. Brian Payne, Julie, you weren't here for Brian's report or presentation last month, but it was really great and comprehensive. And I just wanted to let the BUEA know that CDFI Friendly Bloomington voted to approve funding yesterday of the Bloomington Cooperative Living project, which is a blighted property on 9th Street across from the Reverend Butler Park. So this will be adding 18 very affordable units to Bloomington, and they will be kind of independently affordable. So they won't rely on BHA or Section 8 vouchers. So it's pretty exciting. So they'll be for people making 30% AMI. And 3 of the units in the building will be designated for family. They'll be family suites. So it's exciting for a variety of reasons, and it wouldn't have happened, I think, without CDFI Friendly Bloomington. So it's CDFI Friendly Bloomington in partnership with a CDFI called LEAF. I can't remember where they're out of offhand. The housing fund at the city, and then BCL has put in their own funds. So it's kind of a crazy patchwork, but it's really exciting to have the first project go live and to have it be within the enterprise zone. So
yeah, exactly. We've talked about this for so long, and it's exciting to see something happen. So I think it's really neat to see it happen. Thanks for that update.
Yeah. Okay. Those are all the items in the director's report.
All right. If we want to move forward, we have our guest here from our annual meeting with our MCCSC visitors. Cirilla's here, and I don't know who else is with her, Jane. I'm sorry.
Dr. Marquet Winston.
Okay.
And I'm going to forget your first name. Is it Deborah Prinker? Okay, welcome all. Cirilla, would you like to screen share? Would you like me to share the?
If you have it, go ahead and share it. I wasn't prepared for that. I figured you'd have it on your side.
I've got it, and you just tell me where to go if I'm not on the page you want.
Let's see where you are.
Sorry, you're all going to get motion sickness.
Okay, yeah, we can start with that evaluation.
Okay.
First, I just want to just introduce myself. I see you guys have a lot of new board members. So some new faces that I'm seeing, or maybe you just don't come to the standalone board meeting, but you can come in on these, okay? Either way, I'm Cirilla Helm, and I'm the executive director for the Foundation for Monroe County Community Schools. A lot of people in Bloomington don't know there is a foundation for our public schools, but we've actually been in existence since 1971, and our charter and mission is purely fundraising to support enrichment and enhancement for the corporation. And we serve all 23 schools. We're here for everyone, and the faculty and the students across that bed of schools. So it's quite a large charter for us, and I'm excited to serve in that role. Our relationship with you guys as the BUEA partner is longstanding. We've been back to the days of my predecessor, Tina Peterson. So those of you that know Tina, we're now with the Community Foundation. A lot of this legwork through the BUEA started with her and with Doris Sims. And so it is quite an honor to still have that relationship going with you guys and the support that you are providing. It is going into the schools that are considered to be zone residents. So we take a look at the transportation reports to determine where these children that are residents inside the zone, where they attend. And it is pretty much where, as you might expect, Fairview has the highest concentration of students, followed by Summit Elementary. And for those who may not be aware of how that transportation loads comes through there, or the enrollment zone, Summit was built, about 10 years ago now, and that replaced Broadview, the Broadview Elementary. So those children were all definitely right in the zone, and they moved into Summit, but also picking up a larger population over on the Clear Creek side. And we have Templeton Elementary feeding in there, and we have Tri-North Middle School. We also have a lot of students who feed into both North and South high schools, but traditionally this particular workforce education grant has been looked at within that elementary and middle school base, just because of the concentration of the students in the population, to ensure that we're touching on the children that are truly in the zone and not filtering that out. Because in the high school, there's a lot of kids in the high school, but when you compare the size of the high schools, that number comes down. So so that's why we have worked it to where this concentration. So last year, you guys generously supported us with $33,360. And we usually try to give you an evaluation on how that money came through, just to give you a refresher on it. I'm not going to go through it line item by line item unless you want me to. But this is how you did it. If you just want to, Jane, if you kind of want to scroll, as you can see, 8480 went into Fairview. And the only thing I want to point out to you there in Fairview, as you might guess, when COVID hit last year and shut the schools down in March, some of what these schools had asked for, they were in the middle of purchasing, and that transportation line item for Fairview, that was all slated for pretty much in the spring. Therefore, none of it happened. So that's why we pretty much said to you that that money has not been spent. It's still sitting in a restricted fund with the foundation. And the principal there, Marty Colglazer, has asked if she could please hold on to that. And when these field trips do open up for the schools, that she will utilize it there. We're not sure if that'll happen this year. It all really depends upon how things happen inside the school corporation and inside of the community itself. But she is asking if she can hold on to that. But we are letting you know that that $2160 has not been spent. But it is safe and protected inside of a restricted fund. Everything else in there has been spent. There you go. You can just go ahead. The library collection is there, all getting utilized. And when you come down, who's next for me here? Summit. So Summit is another one. So Summit had a big family lending library, and a lot of that didn't get used in the spring. But let me tell you, they are definitely sending it home now. There's a lot of kids that are at home learning right now. So they're taking advantage of the fact that they had this, and they're really working to push that into these families who are working from home, because that's really what this was purchased for, was that family lending library. So I think they're using that way more than they really thought they would, because the pandemic has really forced that. So that's one that's being really utilized right now, as are the other Fontes and Fennell. The assessment kits are being utilized as well.
You mean to keep going?
Yep. And then here at what happened in Templeton, as you can see, that was again, field trips did not happen. And they requested that what happened was they needed to move that money into more of an online literacy piece. And I kind of took liberty to tell them that they could do that. And so we did move that money out of field trips. She asked not to hold on to it and to use it for more of an intervention style reading program that they are using there with a lot of that online kind of work. So that money was shifted against that, but I didn't figure you guys would mind too much, as long as we're putting it to work and not just letting it wait until the kids can actually go out on field trips. And then this one was our STEM lab. You guys had put in 10,800. That STEM lab is, and I'm going to let Dr. Winston can also jump in here. That's the lab that's being built, and it's being built by a company in Ohio called Farber's Specialty Vehicles. We're on timeline with that. The goal was for that to be input into instruction in 2021. And we are on task with that to be built out and be in production. So the pandemic is obviously going to impact how we are able to use that. But the asset itself is still on track and timeline to be brought in by the end of the year.
Thanks, Cyril. I'm just going to make a quick comment and just one of a great appreciation. We are so thrilled and excited about the possibility of what we're going to be able to do with our students. Excuse me. We don't know quite what that's going to look like in the midst of COVID, but the original vision for our STEM to Them mobile lab is really to bring STEAM types of activities to our students. I've been fine until I had to talk, and then I start coughing. But anyway, so yes, so Cyril is absolutely correct. It is on target. We expect to take possession of it late November, early December, with a game plan of rolling that out after the first of the year. So thank you for your generosity. It's really making a big difference.
Thanks, Dr. Winston. And then there at Tri-North, you can see what was used up with the money that was there was going into their positive behavior and intervention program. And I never say this word right. I'm just going to call it the reset room. That is a room for students who might be experiencing a little difficulty just getting started with their day or at some point throughout the day, and they're able to go into that room. There's all kinds of fidget types of items and things just to give them a short break, let them reconcentrate and get their thoughts back up, and to where they're able to socially and emotionally be able to come back in and be productive inside the classroom. And I do know from the principal there, that's been a game changer for them. And all of that is going to move right over into the new building, which will open next year. So are there any questions or anything related to how your funding was used last year?
Anybody have any questions? It's always good to get a reset and to kind of know where funds have been used, and appreciate that, Sorella.
Absolutely.
I don't have a question. I'm just really impressed, Cirilla and Dr. Winston, with the use of the funds. I think it's fantastic use of $33,000. It's really well done. And I think I appreciate that you've had to pivot with COVID and changes that have happened. And I appreciate you doing that responsibly and in an informed manner, which sounds like you've done. So I don't have questions. I just want to say thank you. Great job.
Amygdalas are tonsils, so the resetting tonsils is a fun thing to liven up this meeting.
Okay, there are those weird minutes. And then Cirilla, you want to look forward to?
Yeah, we can look forward. So we did a summary for you just on an Excel spreadsheet so you can kind of see just where the dollars are. And then there is a document that goes through each one of these. So this is where we've all kind of been sitting in our own Zooms here. Dr. Winston, Dr. Prinker, do you guys want to chime in? Because I know they would love to hear from you guys since you're kind of the boots on ground people.
Sure, I'll start if that's okay, since elementary is up there on the screen right now. I'm Deb Prinkert, Director of Elementary Education, and I have the privilege of working with our 14 elementary schools on a daily basis. And Fairview, as you can see, they probably have the largest chunk here of the funds, but they're really excited because we know with COVID, they have pivoted and they have done some changes. And so some of the stuff you're going to see here listed, the outdoor classroom, that's a really neat partnership that they're hoping to do with the Hoosier Hills Career Center, where we actually have some of our students coming out and constructing and building this outdoor classroom. And especially in the age of COVID right now, we are doing so much outside instruction and learning. So we're really excited to be able to have another outdoor space. If you've driven past some of our schools, you've probably seen some tents at a lot of the places. But this one will actually even be able to have some electricity, and they're excited to be able to, like I said, have another outdoor space for kids. And then the IXL curriculum and Lucy Calkins, those two items, IXL is more math related, and the Lucy Calkins is writing, as it says, but it's for online components. Because again, they had about 30% of their kids select online learning and are learning exclusively online at Fairview. So those two items will really be able to help support that work and practice and reinforce concepts that the teacher is teaching. And then the library collection, you actually did fund this in the past as well, but I think one thing Marty, the principal there, wanted me to point out was when COVID hit last March, a lot of kids, they moved out of Bloomington or moved away or lived with other family members. A lot of those books never came back. So what I'm saying is when the pandemic hit, kids were not able always to come back to the building, even to return books. So she really wanted you guys to know that she's appreciative of the money you've given them in the past to support their library collection, and hope that they'll be able to continue to purchase some more books, because a lot of them walked off last March with COVID. And hopefully they're in family households now, and maybe their siblings or other kids are getting to read those books.
Dr. Prinker, could I pause for just a second?
Sure.
Julie, do you think it's okay if we go over, I think we're going to have to go over to get the vote done. Do you think 10 minutes?
Is everybody willing to do about 10 more minutes after 1 o'clock? I didn't hear any dissent, so let's just move.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Prinker.
Yeah, and I'll pick it up. I'll pick up the pace.
Oh, you're fine. Okay, thanks.
And if you do have questions, just stop me. But Summit, that family lending library, again, you helped with that. They're just hoping to buy a few more bilingual materials and making sure their collections are diverse, because we know all kids should be able to see themselves in those games and manipulatives and books. Res Kids, it's an online software, and then expanding STEAM, again, making sure that they have manipulatives for the children to do activities both online and in person. And then Templeton, Math Seeds, IXL, ABC licenses, those are, again, our online software. As you can imagine, we're really utilizing a lot of online software programs currently with COVID going on, because again, Templeton had a pretty large chunk of students select the online only. So those are just online software that help our kids with practicing concepts and skills that the teachers have taught them.
Thank you, Dr. Prinkert. And then just to round it out at Tri-North, as you probably know, we have a district-wide, corporation-wide initiative focusing on STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And at Tri-North, they're really looking at doing, because of COVID, of course, they want to do more of a focus on coding. And so really looking at some digital and electronic design opportunities for our students to really learn more about coding. Several of our teachers did get a chance to participate in some online training over the summer. And so this will just supplement what they're going to be doing when they move into their new building next school year. So there's a lot of excitement and enthusiasm about their new building. And they are going to have some dedicated spaces in the new facility that will really support STEAM, STEAM learning and coding. So that's what our request is, and we're just so appreciative of your consideration. Thank you.
Does anyone have questions? I had one question. The outdoor classroom that's being built, are the students going to be a part of that building? Is that, and then it will be used by Templeton, is that correct? Or excuse me, Fairview?
Yeah, so Fairview is the school that is going to be doing it, and they do get to have some input. We actually did this at another elementary school where we partnered with Hoosier Hills and Career Center, and the kids got to see the blueprints, they got to have input on it, they got to talk about the dimensions, the space, the materials that were even going to be used. So yeah, it's a great kind of learning, authentic, kind of real problem-based learning going on.
Okay, thank you.
So this will be kind of a shelter house, right?
Correct.
So yeah, it'll have use for the next 30 years easily.
That's good.
Yeah, it does. And it also, one of the things that I've been told by the other schools, some of the schools that have used Hoosier Hills, is it is kind of, it's in that career space where the kids actually, the Fairview students will know that those are high school students and that that's a pathway for them if they select that when they come up through high school. So it does have a little bit of that career option in there where they can actually see that construction and trades program and know it's available at the high school level.
I think that's really important, Saroa. I think that just to open up the world a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions with regard to the funding? I always think that this is probably one of our most rewarding times of the year when we get to talk about these things. And we always appreciate the time that all of you put into this and the thought in making sure what programs are going to work and what, works for us too. So if there's no questions, can I have a motion to approve this funding?
I motion approval.
Okay. Okay. Karen made the motion and Paul seconded. All in favor? Jane, you want to do the roll call?
Yes, I do. Julie Donham?
Yes.
Mary Morgan?
Yes.
Paul Ash?
Yes.
Kate Rosenbarger?
Yes.
Jackie Yenna?
Yes.
Alex Crowley?
Yes.
Tracy Gates?
Oh, come on.
Is it going to work?
Damn it.
Karen St. John?
Yes.
And then Tracy, she's texted that she's having technical difficulties. So we're okay with her vote. Yes. Okay. You're on the record then.
Great. Thank you. Thank you,
guys.
MCCSC. We appreciate everything. And
we so appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. We're so appreciative.
Thanks so
Take
much.
care.
Good to see you all.
Likewise. Bye-bye.
All right, Jane, are we back to what's left on our agenda?
I think that is a wrap, but I can get the agenda back up just to make sure we're clear. Yep, that's it. Unless anyone has unfinished business or general discussion.
Anybody have anything else for the good of the order?
I'll just highlight that Jane and I are both sitting in front of fancy backgrounds and
you are.
They're put together by Visit Bloomington, and we can send out it's actually a little bit deliberate in that, anything that we can do as a group, anytime we're on Zoom meetings to promote Bloomington, would be helpful. So we'll send out, and feel free to use their images that they put together and little branding. So feel free to use them.
So Alex, for me, just to even get on Zoom is sometimes a challenge. So to put a fancy background, if I can get it done, I will be surprised.
We'll send directions.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll send the link.
Yeah. They're really nice. I was admiring them, both of them earlier.
Yeah, very peaceful, aren't they?
Yeah.
They have our fall look. So, well, I want to thank everybody for joining us on the call today. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the order?
Maybe I have one item. Brittany, have you met everyone yet?
Hi. No, today would be the first day.
Okay, great. Well, Brittany has kind of a scheduling conflict sometimes, so she's not able to attend, but she's our SPIA fellow who will be helping us for the next 2 years. And so she's been working on the zone map project. So welcome, Brittany.
Thanks,
Thank you so much for letting me join today. It was wonderful to finally meet you all.
No, that's great. We're glad to have you, and you've got a big job with that zone map, I think. So
It's been an honor, and the opportunity has been extremely fun. So I'm excited to get to know all of the incredible things that you all do for the citizens of Bloomington.
yeah, thank you very much. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
If nobody has anything else, again, thanks so much, everyone, for your time and for all your gifts that you give to this committee. And we will see you on November 11th.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thanks.
Bye.
Good to see everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
November 11th is Veterans Day, so hold that thought.
Okay.
We'll communicate about it. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye now.